My skin is black.
What you looking
My
at?
skin
Yeah,
is black.
I feel so good to be black right now.
is black.
What you look-
Welcome to episode 125 of the Black in Fashion podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. I really hope that you guys have gotten caught up. You know, we are still at the beginning of season 4. This is we are 4 years in, guys. Can you believe it? Still like a thing. Like, it's still a shocker. Before podcasts were popular. They're popular as hell now. So I thank you all to everyone who listens, like on Apple, on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on YouTube. We appreciate you listening. So just want to make sure you guys are sending in your black notes. We definitely want to be able to give you guys some advice. I want to know what your struggles are in fashion, what you're going through in business overall. So that way we can provide insight and our guests can actually give insight as well. And don't forget about the I Am BNF campaign. Definitely put up your videos. Let us know what being black in fashion means to you. We love to feature you and post you. You are also welcome to send them directly to us, and then we'll put them on our page. So today, I am joined by Jerri. He is a fashion designer, but I know everybody that's tuning in from YouTube can see that, honey, from the visuals. But if you cannot, and you are listening from Apple or from Spotify, honey, Jerri is dressed to the nines right now. It ain't nothing but print and leather and color, and I'm gonna paint the whole picture for you. He came in with the bucket hat, honey, with the jacket. Come on. Is it a jumpsuit?
So this is a jumpsuit.
It's a jumpsuit, and you got the jacket. Come on, I'm here for it.
New York is already giving this weather.
Are you from here?
Yeah, born and raised in New York.
That's what's up.
Where you from?
I'm from Chicago, but I've been here almost 9 years.
Y'all hardworking people.
We crazy too.
Like,
coming here.
I totally understand your mentality when it comes to wanting more and doing more, because I've noticed that with a lot of people from Chicago.
That we just
y'all just
we definitely don't go.
Anybody that comes here to New York, you fit right into it.
I know.
I just want to say thank you for starters with this opportunity.
Absolutely, you know that's me. That's the Black in Fashion podcast, LC Apparel Consultant. You know, I try to, it's all about that black dollar, keep it circulating. Like that's what I feel. That's my goal.
I find that to be dope because you came from Chicago to implant yourself in New York City. Mm-hmm. And there's New Yorkers here that have the same skill and vernacular as you, that didn't think about this, or probably did think about it and are looking at you now and saying, dang, I should have just did it.
Yeah, I should just have. That's because a lot of people focus too much on wanting to be a designer, whereas to me, true at heart, I'm an educator. Can I design? Absolutely. Could I be a designer? Yeah, but every time I hear that term, I'm just like, I'm more of a teacher than I am anything else. Could I design? Yeah, but I want to teach. That's just what it is. I think it's distilled in me. I understand that. I like to start every episode with a little icebreaker because I like to understand what people's style level is. So my icebreaker is called this or that. So you just tell me which you prefer or would the other. I think I might know the answers to some of yours, though, but I'm going to throw them out there.
All right.
Motorcycle or trench?
Motorcycle or trench? Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know. Only one? You can only choose one?
I'm going to take the trench.
Okay. Bucket hat or a fedora?
I'm going to take the bucket hat.
Of course, I know. I knew that already.
Yeah, I'm going to take the bucket hat.
V-neck or crew neck?
It depends on the day, but I'm going to say a V-neck.
Okay. Nike or Adidas?
I mean, I guess I'll say Nike because I got on some Nikes right now, but yeah, that's it.
I got a funny one. Basketball shorts or hoochie daddy shorts?
Hoochie daddy
shorts.
Come on now. Legs got to be out.
I'm already knowing. Body. Love it. And last one.
All right.
And it's more of a jewelry base, silver or gold.
I mean, I would take both, but I'm gonna say gold.
Yeah, I'm a gold person.
I got gold on right now.
It's a moon, baby.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to just start out by learning a little bit more about you, your journey. I know you're from Brooklyn, but tell us a little bit about, how you grew up, when the fashion bug pretty much hit you and you just pretty much knew, and just a little bit about your background and, your journey so far.
All right, cool. So, of course, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My family is a melting pot of different cultures. My dad's side is from Trinidad. My mom's side is from Panama and Honduras. So there's like this really great twang of West Indian roots mixed with Spanish, Hispanic, Latin. mix and Garifuna culture as well.
Nice.
So I grew up in a space of just knowing a lot about being black. And that for me was so important, I guess. Not even I guess. It was important to me, and it still is today. I didn't really get into fashion until like late high school, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think that my style was very preppy in the beginning.
Did you go? You didn't go to fashion industries?
I did
feel like
not.
everybody in the fashion here went to that school. But...
I did not.
Okay.
I am one of the few that did not go to school for fashion design. I wanted to be in art, but my school at the time, they could not provide that level of education just yet. So I was dating someone at the time that was heavily influenced in fashion, and it inspired me to go so much further because I saw their drive and their energy in it. They went to school for it and all of that. But after like getting into my 20s and I was working at Bank of America and working at Levi's and working at Equinox all at once.
Damn.
Yeah, you have to be a hustler here in New York. I was only 19 going on 20 doing all 3 jobs. And I did that solely because I wanted to make sure I had money in my pocket. I wanted to know that I could make moves on my own, even at 19. What do I know about getting my own place? But
I had my own place at 19 too.
see, but listen, I didn't do it yet. I stayed with my mom still because I did not trust what the universe was in store for yet.
I can say that. And I was in Chicago and it was a bitch.
Yeah,
I can know it was a bitch here.
Yeah, so you can imagine, So I was caking for a minute, and while I was working at Bank of America, I was always sketching on the receipts. So
that's so dope.
yeah, I was sketching like bags and stuff on the receipts, and a colleague of mine at the time, I will never forget her name. Her name is Elaine. She said to me, "I think that you should have an entire line."
Wasn't Elaine the art? I mean, the Arthur?
No.
Oh, okay, I was like,
No. She but you know what? Shout out to her.
we gonna speak her into existence.
Yeah.
But I want to be her too.
Right. So Elaine was like, "You should do more." And with her telling me that, I literally walked 3 blocks up into the fashion district because I was working at Bank of America on 33rd and 7th.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah,
so I was watching women come in with their Prada bags, their Gucci bags, their Hermes bags. Just the shoe game was impeccable. Even a men's tailored suit just coming in. It was so dope to me to watch that and then also see the street side of everything as well. Like people mixing high end with low end and making it their own thing. So I said to myself, you know what? Go buy your own sewing machine. Go buy a mannequin. Get started.
That's when you was 19?
I was 19 going on 20 at the
Okay.
time. So now I'm 20, going on 21, I'll say, and I'm not working nowhere. I quit both Levi's and Equinox.
Nice.
And I got let go from Bank of America. I wasn't stealing money. I was let go though, and I hope that one day I could look back at that and say, yo, I can look back at that now and say, yo, I really came so far.
And it's only been like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a very
Right.
short time. Oh, you
That
got
was
a long
only
way to
2
go.
years. Exactly. So at that point, at 2021, I tried to get into FIT. And it didn't work in my favor. It did not work in my favor. And I was okay with that because I loved Google. And with Google, I looked up the syllabus for FIT as a fashion designer. So I bought some of the books. The best book that I could have ever rewarded myself was Pattern Maker for Fashion Design, that 4th edition, with the DVD.
Helen Armstrong?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly the book they teach. I went to school, of course, in Chicago. I went to Columbia College Chicago with fashion design. That book, it has, and I got the 1st edition because I got my book in 2008, honey.
Do you see what I'm saying?
And it's the same book. I'm pretty sure that 4th edition is way better than what I got, but it is a lifesaver, and that's the book I used to teach with, too.
You see?
I teach with that book.
Exactly. So with that book, it really taught me an understanding of what pattern making was because I just understood draping without even knowing what draping was. And I said to myself, I'm going to create a collection out of nowhere. And I was at one of my cousin's home. I created the collection in her home. She said, come through. I believe in you. This is your talent. Let's shoot for it. I don't know how the pieces just worked out like that, but it was just smooth sailing. And this was like 2011.
Okay.
This was 2011, and I put on my first fashion show by myself.
In 2011?
Yeah, that was my first.
That was 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I've been doing this for a minute.
Oh, now.
Yeah,
Hey, now.
I've been doing this for a
So,
minute.
the fashion show that you put on,
Mhm.
did you do your first one by yourself, or did you collaborate like
By
with other?
myself.
You did it by yourself.
I rented the hall by myself. I booked the models by myself. I did the fittings by myself.
Wow.
I did all the sewing by myself. I did everything. I didn't know what I needed to do as far as getting help or assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did it on my own. A lot of it I learned from watching YouTube videos, watching old fashion shows like Jean Franco Ferrer and Lanvin and Balenciaga, like old brands like that when they were hitting at that point to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They
that-
were in especially in 2011, 2012.
Yeah,
That's like the
fashion
era
was
like Gucci, Tom
iconography.
Ford. That Balmain collection that came out in 2013 was everything.
That's when
You jumped
Olivier
onto-
first started, like at Balmain. So like,
And before Tom Ford left Gucci, Gucci was the shit, and that was like 2011, 2012.
right.
Yeah.
And then you see how Lanvin was like eating everybody up with like high end minimalistic work, but it was just so beautiful. It filled me up in such a profound way that it made me want to create even more.
Gotcha. What would you say your design aesthetic is? Like, if you had to describe it in 3 words, like 3 adjectives.
Ooh, that's a good one. So 3 ways to describe my brand. It is from a cultural perspective.
Cultured.
It is. Oh, you got me. Because you know
mean,
what? I have it on my wall at home.
I
and
know
it's
you
like,
do.
you know-
Those are the things I feel like every designer needs to be able to spit out, though.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
someone asks you what your brand is, I spit it out, boom, color, classic, confidence.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll tell you this. It's really about. It's about the culture. It's about print, and it's about wearability. So that versatility, honestly.
Boom. Functionality, culture,
Mhm.
and comfort.
Yeah, that's really it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get to the
So,
point.
I have a segment. It's called It's a Success or It's a Disaster.
Okay.
So, I want you to tell me a story. Like, tell me about a time, with on your journey or whatever, where something went in your business went completely to, it went to shit. Like, it was like, this is fucked up. But you learned something from that experience that made you do things differently moving forward. Like, it was more like it was fucked up, but it was a learning experience.
Oh, I got a couple of those. So
Go ahead,
how much
whichever
time we
one-
got?
We got time. Go.
All right, we got time. So the first one was me realizing that I needed to humble myself a lot because I really thought then that I was the cat's meow. I think differently of myself now, and I'll leave it at that. But I thought I was the cat's meow then.
Okay, so you would say you was big headed? Is that what it was? Okay,
It was very egotistical because I was looking at my work compared to everybody else's work in the field at the time, and I was just like, I'm better than you. I'm this. I'm that. Da 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 da. And even when I was walking into certain fashion shows, doing shows with multiple people that are like huge on social media now, it really put me in a headspace of like, how are they getting through, but I'm not. And it wasn't to negate their talent at all. I believed in their talent because I rooted for them so hard, and I still root for these people so hard to this day. I just was trying to figure out what's not clicking for me.
So I'm gonna have you back up to just one, what you just said. You said they are getting through. Define getting through. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, as far as like you feel like they were getting
That
what?
notoriety, that publicity,
From celebrities.
celebrity clientele,
Okay.
TV work, all of those different publications. And I was saying to myself, am I doing the right thing? And at the same time, the same cousin that started me to get my brand going, she was like, why don't you start educating as well? That's another way for you to break
Absolutely.
through. So I became a Department of Education vendor, which allowed me to teach fashion and design
Nice.
to children from grades 6 through 12.
Nice. I love that.
Thank you.
How you do that? Look at me.
Oh.
I'm like,
We
how
can
you do
Oh, we
that?
could talk off. We can definitely talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I literally just today, I am, I just found out before I came over here, like that everything went through. I am teaching at LaGuardia College now. I'm teaching 6 speaking accelerated courses in fashion business. My first class starts November 15th.
But look at that. Look at
Today,
look at how
literally
that's
just found out
working.
today. I
Look
was
at how
like,
that's
holy
working.
shit. Okay. So
That's
and I ain't got no teacher certification and like that, but I have a bachelor's and I have a master's. And I was gonna tell you, FIT, I used to try to teach there. Like I tried so many times, they would never hire me. I applied for jobs at Parsons, would never get hired, and that's why I started the podcast, because I was like, ain't nobody gonna stop me from teaching. This is my way of teaching. And then LC Apparel Consulting actually came after the podcast, so I started this first.
Because I saw when you started LC Apparel.
Yeah, this
and
was
I
first.
Just like, I was like, this is serious work. Like you're branding ridiculously. Like your face is out there. No, you're not trying. You're doing. So we gonna switch that. How you correct me, I'm gonna correct you. We in this together at this point. It's the truth.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know. So with me teaching, with one of my alma mater high school, I went back to my high school to teach the program.
Now that's what's up.
Yeah, I was only there for 1 year though, and the crazy thing about it was they didn't pay me all my money, and
this is
I
DOE?
was just like, yeah.
Okay.
So that was with that particular school though, at that particular time, in that particular moment. So it was nobody's fault, really. It was just how the system worked, and I became a part of a system that was failing at the same time.
My boyfriend works for the DOE.
Yeah. Oh, so we could have a better conversation with this. Yeah. Yeah. So it's hard, but for me, I did not allow that to stop me. I still went on to bring my program to at least 70 different schools at that time, and not one of them got back to me.
Really?
I went to at least 50 different schools before I had to go and take an actual job working in retail again, and it was dreadful.
Would you say that it's because they don't want the fashion programs in the schools, like they didn't have it at all? Like, is that what the disconnect was, or you just feel like it was more of what they call is political about the way they can do things, or was it really like they just didn't have the program to support it?
It's a bit of both. They either did not have the money for it, or it was a politicking game.
Gotcha.
And with me being the age that I was at the time, I'm only 21, you know. But if I was to hire somebody now that was 21, I'm going to make sure that they're good at what they do. That's
Absolutely.
it. I don't care about the age or
And they got the kids, I mean, not the kids, with the kids.
they
got
have the children.
coming
and they
right
have
out of
the money.
college and teach for America, because them people who be in them classes now, they be 21, 22.
Yeah, they
First
are.
time teaching, they put them right in classrooms all the time. It happens all the time.
Yeah, so for me, it was just another, I just felt plummeted, and I didn't have the support that I truly needed at that time. So I ended up working at a fast fashion retailer that I'm not going to say. I was there for 9 months. I did not like it there because it was just, they were cruel when it came to pay and when it came to employment.
Was it Pookie and Sebastian?
No.
Okay. Look at me. I'm like, I'll throw their ass under the bus in a minute.
No. But after that, a friend of mine that worked at that company, while I was there, he went over to H&M and he was like, well, I'm going to bring you with me. And that was probably one of my best experiences ever in fast fashion.
That's
yes.
what's up.
And I was there for 2 years and 2 weeks. 2 years and 2 weeks.
Okay.
I wanted to be promoted to be whatever I wanted to be, and it wasn't happening. And I said to myself, something has got to give. I even did fashion shows in the midst of me working at Bank of America, and I was still doing, not Bank of America, at H&M. But I was still pushing women's wear. I was trying to get my groove into things and all that. I was spending money on photo shoots. I was spending money on models. I was spending money on, to this day, when I think about it, I have compensated everybody that I've worked for. that has worked for me. I have compensated them. Nobody can ever walk up to me and say, you never paid me.
Right.
Nobody.
And that's a good business model to have, though, because you ain't never gonna get that stigma of this person don't pay people.
Yeah.
Or they don't pay them on time and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So that's a very good thing to have.
Even
about
if it's
your
a payment
reputation.
plan or something, I'm paying you before you get to the shoot. Like that has to happen for me. You know, everybody is not in that same mentality of how
they trying to do
how
that trade for
goes.
print shit still. Like, granted, I did that when I first started out too, but nowadays, like, you can't even talk to me unless you spend like $250. And I'm just like, I ain't got
This is what
time.
I'm saying. Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth.
And knowledge is power, and it's like, people do want free information, and I get that and I understand that. But at the end of the day, from an educator's point of view, that's your livelihood. So it's like you got to get paid for your livelihood. Like, of course, I want to help people, but at the end of the day, I got bills too, you know? So I don't like when people get upset when you like throwing out your rates and stuff like that when it comes to coaching and education and stuff. But I'm just like, I had to pay for it. I'm fucking $100,000 in debt from school, like trying to get all this information and education.
Are you even using your degree to the fullest potential at this point?
Right. I mean, I do because
because look at what you're doing now.
Right. I'm like,
but you have to make those opportunities yourself.
Right. And then also
that's
the degrees is bullshit. Well, the fashion design one, I learned a lot in design school as far as pattern making, draping, fabric, sketching, like across the board. But my master's is in fashion management and merchandising. I ain't learned jack shit. I knew everything before I got there, and I was fucking teaching those classes. And that's when I moved. That's why I moved here. I moved here when I was 25 to get my master's at LIM. And when I tell you that,
they're a great school too
for undergrad.
Oh,
master's program. I think, you know what? Let me take that back. Let me not say that.
Go there, Sunny X Sunny, the shoe designer.
Yeah, so I think BFAs, I mean the bachelors and stuff like that is great for business. But on the master side, I don't think that it works if you already have a design background. Now, for people that's coming in to a master's program, that's doing a complete career change, it makes sense. Because my class, I was the only person who had a degree in design. Everybody else was like journalism and marketing, and it was a career change. So for them,
they felt like they were learning everything.
They was learning everything. And me, I'm copying and pasting the projects from undergrad because I got the same damn computer and uploading that shit right on up to Blackboard. And I didn't learn anything. I taught, like, I literally, they would reach out to me for help in class, and I was always helping people with their studies.
The educators?
Even the educators, like, because I was always in there answering questions. I got real close to my product development teacher. I'd even, like, been to his house, hung out with him. Like, I damn near, like, was a little student aide, because I used to help him with, the, like, grading projects and shit like that, because I already knew all the information. I used to go to his house. He's a white dude from London. Came up here years ago to design for Bill Cosby. Had so many stories in the 70s about Halston and Ralph Lauren. He used to hang out with them.
Those are the stories that I want to hear.
And I used to be in the house with him.
Because I want to create that.
Exactly. I used to be in the house with him. He used to tell me different shit, even about Calvin Klein. He's like, let me tell you. And he used to tell me all this stuff. He was just a very old white guy. And he was so cool. And I used to be like, the what? And, you know, he has so many stories. And then his lover passed away from AIDS and stuff like that. So he's by himself. So me and him used to be in the house and, like, literally, like, going through the projects and stuff like that. I loved him. He was one of my favorite teachers. And I had 2 other teachers there, but I already knew the information, so I didn't really need to be there. But, I mean, I'd already paid for the shit. Like, and now I'm in debt because of that. Getting bastards got you in debt, and no one cares. Like, about you having it. Especially, I tell people all the time, like, you have to... And I don't care what people think. You gotta lie on your resume. I'm sorry.
You do.
You have to lie. You have to lie on your resume, and you gotta be okay with just being able to speak their lingo, because they're gonna teach you what they want you to do anyway. That's the only way. I was in the retail space for a long time, and I was in retail management. I was a store manager at a Banana Republic, Bouquet and Sebastian. I worked at Saks. I worked at Wet Seal. I worked at Aldo, and when I moved here, I didn't want to be in retail. I wanted to be in corporate fashion. But every time I went to apply for corporate fashion, it's just, oh, well, you only got retail experience. Even though you got this design degree, you only have a retail experience. You have no corporate fashion experience. And this shit was getting on my nerves. And I'm just like, but how am I supposed to get some if one of my take a chance on me? And then they was going too low with the money. I'm like, I have a bachelor's and a master's. You're not going to give me $10 an hour. Unfortunately, no. I can go back to retail management for that. Like, I got real bills.
And make 15, 16 at that time.
Exactly. And I got my first job at an outerwear company. And guess how I got the damn job? I called my mentor from high school. She was also my child development teacher. I asked her, because she write me a recommendation letter so I can transfer and go to SCAD down in Atlanta, because I don't like New York no more. I gotta go. I'm like, I want to get up out of here. I'm gonna go to Atlanta, go to SCAD, get my master's at SCAD. And she like, I think you're giving up on New York too fast. I got a cousin. He works in the garment district. I don't know exactly what he does, but he does fashion. I want you to go talk to him. First time she told me that, I'm like, yeah, okay, but when you gonna write this recommendation letter? Because now I hate New York. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't like this shit. It costs too much. Gosh. So I hit her up again. I'm like, hey, did you write it? She like, did you go talk to my cousin? I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to him today.
She wasn't playing.
She wasn't playing. I went to the garment district. He had a big old showroom, and he's a black man. Had a showroom on 36th and 8th Avenue. He made handbags and he made outerwear.
He's still there?
Yeah. Oh, he not there anymore. He moved it over to Brooklyn, but he was there. This was 2016, because I was 25. Yeah, 2016. Went up there. He like, honestly.
We didn't say that.
Yeah. He like, yeah. I'm 33. Look at me. I'm old.
I'm 31.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I'm 30.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I went up there and he's like, to be honest, I don't really have no money to pay you, but my cousin told me that you know that you need a job, and I just want to get your foot in the door because I know how hard it is for black people to get their foot in the door. He's like, I'm gonna give you a job. What we gonna do is we gonna make it seem like you've been working here the whole time. But I'm gonna give you a job. I only can afford you for a couple months. I only worked there for 6 months, but we put on my resume that I had been there 3 years.
Because you already knew everything now.
Yeah.
You already knew
and everything I didn't know, he taught me. So we was doing manufacturing for bags and outerwear overseas and domestically. So I learned how to negotiate with factories, domestic and overseas. I learned how to do tech packs, and we never did tech packs in school. We really just did our patterns, and that was pretty much it.
And I heard from a friend of mine, they don't really do tech packs.
You don't need them. But if you're going overseas, it's good to have them. But if you're doing domestically, you don't need a fucking tech pack. Like nowadays, I don't
if you have the pattern,
you don't need no tech pack. And people get that confused. I'm like, all you need is a pattern and give them the fucking fabric. You don't need no damn tech pack. But I learned how to do sales. I learned how to do accounts receivable. I learned how to do compliance, because you start working with these stores, you got to ship the shit the way they want to, like on certain hangers and certain plastic things being flat pack UPC. So I learned how. He pretty much taught me how to run the whole business, and I stayed there for 6 months. And then after that, he was just like, okay, now it's time to start looking for a job. And I started looking for a job, and I ended up working at this place called Half Point Design and Hosiery, doing the same thing. And that was my foot in.
That company.
Because they right there, they're that big ass building right in front of the big button. That building is in front of that building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Rock Nation's in. There's a whole lot of companies in there.
Okay.
And that's how I got my first job through him. And then after that, I just continued. But then once I realized that shit worked, I was at Half Point Design for 6 months. And then I went somewhere else and got a production associate. And I think it was called Woodland Train. I did dresses. I was there for 2 months. Went to G3. I was at G3 for 3 months.
And went somewhere else.
And got and lied every time on the dates and stuff like that, and padded it. Ended up in the 2-year span, went from being a production assistant to a production director, making $80,000 a year. Just because I kept lying on my resume. So if y'all don't lie on these resumes, because it ain't that hard.
It's not.
And they're going to cheat you. And I honestly it wasn't a lot of the school stuff that I needed for these jobs. They're teaching you, they do everything on the computers, because think about all the places in the garment district, they're making shit in China.
Yeah.
They're making shit overseas.
Yeah.
All you got to do, they got the programs that automatically generate every fucking thing. All I had to do was enter like the little measurements or something, and the fucking tech pack generates itself. Yeah. The design team makes the cast and stuff like that. I negotiate prices and delivery, and that's it. Like what I tell y'all, it's so simple.
So you pretty much was doing what they do in Misguided right now. That's it.
That's it. And that's product development, that's production, and they like to call it different names and shit. All that shit is the same. It's all the same.
And what's crazy about that, I pretty much do all of that without even having a title. So it's like, when I set my price on my website for whatever product you see, that's what it is.
Boom.
Why? Because it's being made by me and a small team of people. Yep. It's not like I'm out here getting everything whole produced, mass produced. I'm not doing that.
You're making everything by hand.
Everything at this point for me, I'm looking at it as like this. We're living in a space now where nothing is sustainable. So if we continuously as an environment continue to pour all of this fabric. And
have you seen these landfills full of all this fast fashion bullshit?
It is.
It's
filled. Have you ever seen The True Cost? It's a great documentary. I'll text it to you.
True Cost, yeah.
I'll text that to you. You'll enjoy that.
Have you ever read Well Dressed?
No.
What about How Luxury Lost Its Luster?
That sounds familiar.
Well, you're going to like both of those. I'm pretty sure it's similar to those two. Yeah.
So, you know what's funny also? Because I have been on a documentary and book excursion right now in my life. Like everything that's just connected to fashion, even down to its existence back into our home place. And I have been reading books like the Isis Papers and Before Columbus Came and all these different things to actually enhance my design aesthetic.
Right.
Because when you really look at certain things, especially at Dolce & Gabbana, like a lot of that is all really...
Now, is that what that documentary is about? The shockingly high cost and cheap value of fast fashion.
Yes.
That's what that documentary is. I knew it. I could tell in the name.
Yeah.
That book is the same thing.
Yeah.
And she do a whole synopsis of H&M, Forever 21.
Oh my God. So do they talk
Seal.
about in the book when the building collapsed? in India, and like over 100 and
That was
something people
recently?
died. No, that was years ago.
I think so then, because like she went through a lot of Elizabeth Klein went through a lot of shit, and then luxury lost its luster. When I tell you she interviewed everybody from Louis Vuitton, the guy who owns
Now
Robert
that
and all,
book I want to read.
that one is very. When I tell you, we think that we're paying for these luxury goods,
We're not.
and it's so much shit that they changed. Now, back in the day, when these brands first came about, when Chanel,
were
Louis
actually
Vuitton,
doing
they
it.
were doing it. But y'all got to keep in mind that a lot of these big CEO tycoons come in, they cheapen the value of the product, they move the production over to China because it's just a monopoly to them. Think about LVMH Group. How many brands is under that group?
That's a
Celine is
lot.
underneath that group. Fucking Louis
Every
Vuitton,
last-
Moet.
yeah,
It's so many
anything you
things.
could think,
That's all they care about is the names.
Mhm.
The quality, they don't. So y'all out here glorifying these European brands
But
and
it still
shopping.
came from China.
It
And
still
all it
comes
has
from
to
China.
do, the product just has to sit in Italy for a day for it to say made in Italy.
Or the materials can be from Italy.
Yes.
So I mean, if they get their leathers from there, then of course but they can't even. That's the crazy thing that I don't feel like that is accurate because it's a TFIPA regulation to not have the actual country of origin where the garment was actually made. And that is against the fucking law, to be honest.
But it's still
there's
used.
always
There's still-
loopholes,
there's
you
always
know,
a loophole,
and that's why it's
especially
knockouts
law.
all over New York City too.
Because they get through the loophole too. You know?
Everybody gets a
And
loophole.
you could get some really good knockoffs in Queens.
Yeah,
You
I've heard.
really could. Like,
I've seen some shit. When I tell you, I've seen some shit that I never even thought. I had a boyfriend back in the day. He was trendy too.
oh god.
No shade. Had me move up to the Bronx with him and everything. But he used to always buy fake shit. And that was like his thing. And to me, I thought it was a low self-esteem kind of thing. Because it's just like, you can't afford it, but you want to make people think that you can. So this is really not for you. This is for validation of others. And one time I think he tried to buy me like a Gucci headband. I'm like, I'm not wearing that fake shit. I'm good. I can make me a headband.
I can make that too, yeah,
And it was
exactly.
the one when the crystal one first came out. You know, the
Oh,
one with the
boy,
studs on
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
I was like, if I really wanted that, I can go buy me a band. I can stick some fucking studs on it, okay?
And keep it moving.
And
yeah.
keep it moving. I'm good, sweetheart. That's not my thing. But you go right ahead. You go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time where fashion is going, it's going back into a space where it's going to be great.
Can you talk about what you were talking about on your Instagram when I was like, oh, I need to get you on the podcast, and how you talking about how the clothing like really tells a story and how a lot of those things are like missing now. So take me there.
Okay, cool.
Take me there.
I want to be there
Okay.
because it's all about intention, like setting that intention. A girlfriend of mine, she always tells me just plain like this, Jerri, you didn't need to go to school. You didn't need to go to school because what you do now, they don't teach that in school. And
They definitely don't teach integrity.
Yeah, they don't teach integrity. They don't teach intention. They don't teach none of that.
None of that.
And when you put out work, it has to mean something. It has to come from a place. And that's why I'm doing so much reading, like allowing literary elements to move through me, as well as musical elements, understanding how sonically it makes me feel, and allowing those things to permeate into my work. And that's so important. You have to be in a space of, what am I going to create? What am I going to constantly download into me to make sure that the work that I put out will be able to download into somebody else's motherboard?
So it's all purpose.
It's all purpose.
It's all purpose driven, and the
purpose.
work comes through purpose driven.
So my first collection, it's called The Journey because, well, not my first collection from when I first started. From now, me doing menswear and gender nonconforming clothing.
Is it started when you were 30?
Yes, pretty much.
That 30
yeah.
is that new chapter, baby.
Yeah, like
It's something. It's like something, a
Yeah.
fire or something that lights in your ass when you turn 30. That you have a different perspective on life too. Just because of
Yeah.
what we transpired in our 20s. When you hit that 30 mark,
mm-hmm.
I feel like that's when my purpose hit too. Because that's when I started all of these different things. The podcast I started when I was going on 30. Like my LC started when I was going on 30. I started solo traveling by myself. I went to Barbados by myself and
What
merged
part
myself.
did you stay in?
I stayed in Bridgetown.
Okay.
I went by
was in
myself.
that area
I went to
too.
St. Lucia by myself. I took a mud bath and all these different things, and
Yeah.
to find purpose, like exactly what you're talking about, like purpose and intention. And I think that's where I lead from LC.
work, yeah.
Because like my programs and the things that I come out, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Is because I'm like, what do they need? But I also ask questions. But I also like, what did I need when I was going, like when I was on the ride trying to be a designer, stuff like that. But it all comes from purpose and intention, like how you're explaining.
Yeah. So, actually, I would say I was like, what? This was 2020, at the middle of the pandemic, actually, when I dropped that first collection for men's and gender nonconformity. A girlfriend of mine, she had told me, she called me, and she was like, yo, your women's wear is cool, but your men's wear, that shit is saying something. Run with that. Run with it. So she put the battery in my back, and I was just like, you know what? Let's use this panini right now to get through this. Use what you already have, make it a collection, and boom. That was that. I did a virtual launch. It was called The Journey. All of that was amazing because I was, at the time, probably one of the few people that did it where it was like an Instagram live, but it was pre-recorded. That's when it first came out.
Gotcha.
And then after that, I saw everybody else doing it. I was like, why do I not have the following for everybody to see this already? But, you know, it is what it is. You know what you do.
Do you use Instagram, like promotional ads at all?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do all of that, you know. And after that, I did my second collection, which is Mofera Jerri Reid, which is, in Yoruba, it means I want to have, I want to buy, I must have it, it must be mine. So, like, you know, it's one of those of like, I must have Jerri Reid, you know, I gotta have it, I gotta buy it. And there's this song that Tiwa Savage sings called 44.99, and she says it in there. So she's like, Mofera Versace, Mofera Versace, Mofera Bugatti. So I'm like, oh, I'm vibing to this in my house, and I'm like, I gotta do the same thing for me too. Like, Mofera Jerri Reid, you gotta have this also. Like, this is the intention that I'm saying right now.
Mofera.
Yeah, Mofera Jerri Reid. So, like, with that moment.
Mofera LC Apparel.
Okay. You see? But it's really about how you use your words now and what you want to bring to life, you know? Because what you say has to lead with the intention in order for it to work and blossom the way it's supposed to.
I love
so
that.
now, after I did that, I was like, all right. I had so many hiccups in the process of doing that second collection, but I digressed from that. It was a beautiful experience because it allowed me to see how far I'm willing to go for my brand and what I'm willing to put out into the universe. And then from there, I dropped this collection that I have now, which is called Be Made Whole. And it's really, really talking about the things that make me whole. My spirituality, my queerness, my blackness, my family, my friends. And I did a mini short film about it, just expressing, and I really asked quite a few people to just drop some voices in there for me, and I just asked them, please send me a voice note of you telling me the things that make you whole. And the thing about it was, those are the things that made me whole too, to hear that they're whole.
I love that.
So with you telling me that you're whole, I'm whole also. And people don't understand that that's how you give back to one another. That's what reciprocity looks like.
When you pour,
yeah,
you pour back.
That reciprocity. Because now that it's out into the universe, their voices, their sound bites are now out there as like spell work in a sense of everybody knowing, yo, this dude right here, he wants this so bad. I'm in a space where I am eating, sleeping, and breathing this. Like, even down to my nonprofit, I have to eat, breathe, and sleep this.
So, before we get out of here,
Yeah.
I want to go. It's funny that you said that because this freaking segues right into the end, too.
Oh,
here.
okay.
So, the black note from this week that I got or whatever is from a brand that is making. I read it briefly, but I was just like, okay, I'm going to ask you to give them some advice. So it was anonymous. The Black Note series is just people sending like advice or like they have, you know, scenarios that they want to talk about.
Okay.
So the Black Note, pretty much what I got from it is a brand. It is it's two women who are making the brand, and they are LGBT, but they are feminine.
Okay.
And then their wives are masculine. And they're making swimwear to be for both of them. Okay. Now, the issue is when they started to develop these pieces and stuff like that, they made like a two-piece set and like a one piece. And then they made like sports bra and like kind of short combinations like that. And the issue was that they couldn't decide because it's four, so it's four women,
Okay.
two masculine, two feminine, and the feminine ones want the swimsuits to be like cheeky, and they want more breast out, whereas like the masculine ones, like, we wouldn't wear that. So their issue was, in the note was, how do we make clothing that is gender neutral when we still have slightly agenda, because I'm feminine, I want my breast out and I want my butt out, but my wife is not. My wife wants a tank top, she want to hide her breast, she wants longer shorts. So how do you go about making gender neutral clothing when you still have a certain identity about yourself? And so I think that because they're new designers and this is something that's new for them, that this is something that has been challenging, trying to figure out, well, what's the fine line with the way and how I distribute my pieces, and how to also do I get people to purchase from me if I'm not making the clothes really gender neutral, because now I'm making pieces that are strictly feminine and I'm making other pieces that are masculine. So I guess their question was, how do we be inclusive and be gender neutral without being too masculine and too feminine?
So the first thing I would say is, the reason why they're stuck is because they keep asking how.
Okay.
So when you keep asking how, you're not going to get an answer. It's always going to be like, if we do this, then maybe that. No. What do you want to convey? You already know that it is gender non-conforming clothing. It's four of y'all, 2 and 2. Even with y'all brand name, it should resonate with that 2 and 2 already.
I'll tell you what the brand name is. I know what the brand name is, but they want to go offline. But I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, later. The other thing I would say is, there is a happy medium in that y'all can put so much into that pot and be okay. You don't have to wear what is not for you. But if you sell it, it will sell. Put it out there.
I think they were trying to figure out too.
You can have both.
And this is one of my clients. This person, when they sent the black note, I'm like, I knew who it was. When I see the note, I'm like, you can't black note me. I won't say your name on air, but I know who they are, so I know exactly what their situation is.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong, to be quite frank.
They want to know how to market it though. Like, who do we put it in? And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so easy though. That is so easy. If you see how every brand like that is filled with notoriety at this point is putting women in those male pieces and males in those female pieces.
Both. So the answer is both.
Both. Just do both. Just do it all. I think the real synopsis should be, create a resort line. Create a resort line that caters to everybody in your demographic, because then nobody's left behind. And with resort wear, people travel every day.
Right.
People are traveling.
I kind of swayed them towards that or whatever, not just being swimwear, but being more resort driven, because they were all, and the crazy thing, they all were in the military and they all were stationed in Hawaii for a long time.
That is the best place to go back to for them to do the resort wear.
Exactly.
Your whole photo shoots, your sets, everything. Come on.
That's lit, right?
Like that's easy.
All
that's
right,
a
so
no-brainer.
before we leave, the last segment is called It's a Muse, and I already know you got one. So this is where you share a book, a mantra, a reading, anything that continues to keep you motivated and that you would want to share with someone else to inspire them. It could be more than one. It could be a book, a mantra, and an affirmation. It could be a ritual, whatever it is. If it's a morning ritual, a nightly ritual, anything like that, that just continues to just keep propelling you forward.
Ooh, there's quite a few of them, but I'm going to start here. Whatever you went through yesterday, when you go to bed and you wake up the next day, do not hold on to that. Do not hold on to that. Be thankful that you are in the land of the living and continue to dream bigger than you could ever imagine. If your dreams are not scaring you, my dreams scare me.
They ain't big enough.
My dreams are scaring me because that's how big I'm dreaming. I am willing to drown for my dreams. I am willing to put everything on the line, whether it's people, whether it's friends, whatever. I am willing to make sure my things come to fruition, because this is not just for me. This is a community thing. This is a family thing. This is origin.
Legacy.
This is my birthright. This is what has been owed to me from the day that I came into this world. And I'm going to work. And I want you to work too. Don't stop.
A word.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Let me tell you something. You're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to not go to the club that week. You're going to have to not go get them sneakers that week, that jacket, that meal, that date, that hang out with your homegirl next door to you. You're going to have to sacrifice it. I'm at a point right now where people don't even know if they should be texting me to go out anywhere. That's how much sacrificing I have been making. When they come into my presence, it's almost as if, bro, I don't know if I should be working or if I should be having a good time. Because being around you, I don't know. I don't know if I could cut it. And allow those people to cut themselves off. You don't have to do it. They'll cut themselves off. Go for what you believe in. Trust me. Trust me. You're going to eat better than anybody you could think of if you go ahead and push yourself to the limit. I've cried so many nights. I've had sleepless nights. I've had moments where I don't know how X is going to pay for Z, but I know why I'm about to do what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
So, I say that by saying, follow your gut. What's for you is for you.
Yeah.
That's that. That's on P.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jerri, for joining me today. And you could just throw out like your social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And then we're gonna put in the show notes as well. But what's the best way to follow you, shop with you, keep in contact with you?
Boom. So shopping with me is jerrireid.com. That is JerriReid.com. The bucket hat that I have on, if you're watching on YouTube, is Jerri Reid. The tie-dye shirt that I have on is made by Jerri Reid, handmade. This jumpsuit, this snakeskin jumpsuit is by Jerri Reid. The jacket behind me is Jerri Reid.
Yes.
I'm coming through as Jerri Reid. The earring in my ear is Jerri Reid. Everything I'm wearing is Jerri Reid.
Mm-hmm. Hey now, be your brand, wear your brand.
Exactly.
And
follow me on Instagram, Twitter, everything. You think of it, I got it. JerriReid.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing conversation. I enjoy having, as I always say, stay black. Peace out.
Peace. Stay black.